Okay, so you want more flowers in your garden without buying more stuff. So if you have a small garden and you want more flowers and you have limited resources, then this is the video for you. So I'm going to go over the 3 reasons why it's a good idea to sow our own plants, and 3 of the main reasons why we hesitate to do that. So the first reason for wanting to sow our seeds is that the variety we can have, and this is probably my favourite reason. The nurseries can't offer every flower that we might want in our garden, so they have a limited ability to provide us with flowers for our garden. So by doing this and sowing our own, we can browse through the seed catalogues and enjoy choosing some different things, which is really a lovely thing to be able to do. So the other thing, number 2, is, sorry, I'm just going to check my notes here, is that we can pick our own time for planting. Sometimes you might miss the opportunity in the nursery to get what you want. Just because they've stopped selling, it doesn't mean to say the season has ended. Or if maybe you might want to start a bit earlier, that you might have a sheltered spot where you can plant some things that the nurseries don't have available yet. So that's one reason. That and the other thing is that you might want to have your flowers coming in, your plants coming into flower throughout the summer, so you can stagger your planting and your sowing so that you've got the same flower popping up in over 2 or 3 months, which is always a lovely thing to try and do. Now, number 3 is the cost. The cost of, especially if you want more than half a dozen little seedlings, if you have to buy 3 or 4 punnets of seedlings, it's far cheaper to have a packet of seeds that you can dip into and sow as many as you want, basically. Some of the seed packets hold up to 100 seeds and more. So that's always a bonus to having your own seed sowing going on. So towards the end, at the end of the video, I will let you know the flowers that I have had the most success with are self-seeding over the seasons. So I haven't had to re-sow them, and they've just popped up in the garden. And if I don't want them in a particular place, I just take them out. So so on to the 3 reasons we might not sow seeds, or may not have up to now. I've only been doing it for probably 3 years at the most, and I'm getting a lot of enjoyment out of doing that. So the main reason, I suppose, is our confidence and thinking that we don't have the knowledge. So the internet and the library are full of information about sowing seeds and how different flowers perform, both at seed sowing and on through into their growth. So it's not difficult to get knowledge on specific plants. You don't have to know everything about everything. You know, I am often looking up, and then I'll go back and look it up again because I won't remember from last year how to sow it or how tall it grows or some different detail that I want to know. So this is what I spend my winter doing, browsing through catalogues and watching videos and just schooling myself up over the years is how I have learned what I know, which is not a lot. So that's the confidence one covered. Number 2 is about the equipment and the gear that people seem to think we need to have. Well, we don't need to have what a flower farmer needs to have in their germination sheds and rooms in their homes. If we've got a small space and a small garden, we don't need heat pads, we don't need lights, we need a limited amount of equipment. So the other thing is where to put things. Where are we going to put them if we're limited space? And I must admit, there's a bonus here in that my space is my own. So if I want to cover the dining room table with seedlings for a few weeks, then I can do that. But most people have got little places in their homes that they can tuck away some seedlings by a window. Now, the things that they need to have in their placement, they need to have light, not bright direct sunlight, but they need light. There are some seedlings that will not germinate, seeds that will not germinate in the light, that they need to be put in the dark, in which case mine go in the linen cupboard. There aren't many. So light, but not direct sunlight. Warmth. In the winter, if I'm growing autumn grown seeds, which is a good thing to do because especially if you've got hardy annuals, which will handle a degree of frost, not heavy frost, but they will cope with frosts. Hardy annuals, they can be planted before your first frost, and so if you sow them in the early autumn, and get them out into the ground, they will be ready and stronger in the spring to flower, and they'll be a much stronger plant than if you had waited, which I have had to do this year, waited till the spring to sow them all. So that's now, where am I at? The placement of the pots, that's right. I've lost my train of thought. Oh, where we place them, that's right. They need airflow as well. And I did buy a fan. Because as the seedlings grow, they benefit from some open windows or a fan, just to give them a little bit of resistance, really, to the air, so that they grow stronger in their stems, and the whole plant will benefit from having that resistance to a little bit of airflow. So warmth in their position, a bit of airflow, water. They need to be watered, not too wet, but damp, kept damp. Now, I'm just getting a bit lost here. Light, dark, covered that. Warmth, airflow and water. We've covered them all. So there can be some potential issues with your seedlings I'll just check my list, with your seedlings not germinating. And one of them could be that they get too damp and cold, and so they will get a disease called dampening off. Now, the airflow, the fan, could alleviate that, and if you don't overwater them and don't have them in the cold, then they should be fine. And I haven't had any of that issue this spring. So dampening off is something you don't want. The young seedlings just fail, they just fall over, and they don't do well, they are finished. So dampening off. Your seeds might be too old, so just need to be careful that you're growing fresh seeds, or you might try some that are 2 or 3 years old, but your germination rate will probably deteriorate. It could be the depth that you've planted the seeds. So it is a real trial and error and experimenting. So, and once again, just keep the soil damp, not too wet, and don't let it dry out. All right. Out. All right. So the bonus for this video is I'm going to tell you the four or five plants that have self-seeded in my garden, and which means that I have not had to resow them. I've got packets of seeds there, but I don't have to redo them because these plants have self-seeded. And I've also gathered some seeds from some of them as well. So that's always a good thing to do. So I hope this video has been useful and that it encourages some of you to try sowing seeds. And let me know in the comments if you have any little seed sowing stories, or if you think you might give this a go.